How hard is it to get a new job after you've quit a job to travel for a while? And what skills was I totally lacking that would have made my career break so much smoother? Let's talk about 8 things I wish I had known before I quit my job to travel. We're talking sabbatical regrets and revelations. But first, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Stephanie Perry. I am a year-round house sitter. I'm the creator of House Sitter School and the co-creator of Exodus Summit. I help Black women take a sabbatical or a career break. I help Black women move abroad. I help Black women bop around as a nomad, all while embracing ease. If these things sound good to you, make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Seriously, hit the subscribe button. You'll like it, okay? And then turn on notifications. Ring the notification bell so that you'll be notified when I post a new video or when I go live. Welcome. All right, I'm house sitting right now in beautiful Palm Springs. You could probably hear the dog making noises in the background. I'm house sitting right now in beautiful Palm Springs, California, before I head back home and then to Costa Rica. And we've been talking for quite a while on my channel about career break things, about what it's like to take a significant amount of your time in your adult life to do what you want to do and not have work be the boss of you, right? Not have your job dictating where you are and how long you're there and what you're doing. For a significant part of your adult life, I recommend it, okay? For the purposes of this video, we're gonna call that period of time a sabbatical. I've also called it a career break. I've called it a grown-up gap year. You can call it whatever you'd like. But we're just talking about you, friend, taking a significant amount of time. Like 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, indefinite, right? Where you do what you want to do. I did that in 2015. In 2015, I was 41 years old and I quit my job to travel for 1 year on savings. I bopped around Southeast Asia, Australia, a little bit of Europe during that time and came back and got a job. That sabbatical was the best thing that I've done for myself. Okay, I have a full video about what 1 year off did for me. I'll link to that video up here and also in the description of this video so that you can take a look at what benefits I got, how I grew and changed by taking that time off, okay? But this video is about what I wish I had known before that time off. So let's go ahead and just get into it. The first thing I wish I had known before I quit my job to travel for a year is that the people who interviewed me when I looked for work when I came back with no money really loved the fact that I had taken time off to travel. I was not super worried about quitting my job and coming back because I was a hospital pharmacy technician and hospital pharmacy technicians can get work, especially a hospital pharmacy technician like myself who was willing to work night shift, right? You can get work. So I wasn't super worried about it, but it was a thing in the back of my mind. Am I going to be able to get a new job? And how long is it going to take me to get a new job? That is something I wish I had not spent even a minute thinking about because it was so easy. It was so easy. I came back in September of 2016 and I interviewed with my exact same job after leaving. I interviewed for my exact same job, exact same position, and they offered me the job back, okay? I also interviewed at a hospital closer to where my parents lived, and that's the job that I took. So 2 for 2, 2 interviews, 2 job offers. And seriously, everyone who interviewed me, both of the HR people, both of the hiring managers, like the pharmacy managers, both of them were really excited about the fact that I had taken this time off to travel. The one who was a total stranger for me couldn't stop raving about what an awesome decision it was, how his son had done the same thing, and how he was so proud of his son for doing that. And then he just started running through the list of skills that I now had because I had taken some time to travel Asia, skills that I now had that I could bring back to work. You're probably much more organized. You're able to pick up on certain details now. You're probably more this and more that. What did he say? Oh, language skills. You said you probably picked up a little bit of some sort of language skills foreign language skills while you're traveling. Like he was really all in on the fact that I had done this thing and did not hold it against me when it was time for me to come back to work. So number 1, interviewers love that you've taken a career break. Rashida Dow has a full video on interviewing after a career break, like, how to handle that. But my quick piece of advice is no sweat, okay? No problem. They'll love it. They'll love that about you. People really love that about me. And they'll love that about you. Okay, so the second thing I wish I had known before I quit my job to travel for a year is that you can house sit and get free accommodation. I'm a house sitter now. Like I told you, I'm house sitting right now in Palm Springs. I didn't know about house sitting until after I came back from the sabbatical and then got a job and then was like, actually, I want to travel some more. How can I travel with no money? I Googled, how can I travel with no money? Google told me to become a house sitter. If I had known about house sitting before I took that sabbatical, I probably could have been gone for, I don't know, another 3 or 4 months at least. House sitting is staying in people's homes and taking care of their homes and usually their pets for free accommodation. And it means that you can significantly cut back on your budget or significantly save on your budget or whatever. You're going to need X amount of dollars. House sitting means you'll need X amount of dollars, right? And so I wish I had known about house sitting before then, but I'm taking full advantage now. Now you know, so make sure that you utilize house sitting in your travel plan, your sabbatical plan, if you're a friend of animals. If you like cats or dogs or fish or horses or chickens in the backyard, house sitting can be a wonderful way for you to take an extended time away from work where you don't have those responsibilities, where you can just do the things that you want to do. I recommend house sitting to you 100%. So stick around to the end of this video and I'll give you a resource to help you get started with house sitting for yourself. Okay, so the third thing that I wish I had known before I took my sabbatical is that, Stephanie, you will ride a motorbike. You need to learn how to ride a motorbike and you need to get some sort of good insurance. I grew up in a family where the men had motorcycles and I just never learned how to ride a motorcycle. I was always the passenger. But I spent a full year in Southeast Asia where everyone rides a moto, including the tourists. You see tourists just out and about on motorbikes. I have no idea how any of them learn how to ride. Let me tell you how I learned how to ride the moto. It's like a moped, right? I rode a moped. I rented a moped probably 4 or 5 different times during that year. Let me tell you how I learned to ride it. I pulled up to a place next to where I was staying that had a sign out and some motos lined up. I handed him my passport and my money and told him how many days I wanted it for. He handed me the keys. I stuck the key in the thing, started the moto, and just took off and and then realized I don't really know how to ride this thing. And then I was like, I hope this man turns around and goes back in the house so he can't see me ride off because I don't know how to ride this thing. Very dangerous, very dumb, because I was in an island off of Thailand that was pretty mountainous. It could have been a disaster. I really do wish I had taken the time to learn how to ride a moto before I went on to the sabbatical, out on this gap year. Because they're really inexpensive and they're a good way to see the place. Like I said, I think that was Koh Phangan, Thailand. I think that's the first place where I rented the moto. It was just a beautiful place to be able to ride around, and the hostel that I was staying in was a few kilometers away from like this yoga place, and I wanted to go to yoga a couple of times a week because I stayed there for a couple of weeks. And I wanted to be able to explore and see more than I could see on foot, and so I rented the moto. I survived the moto, but I dropped the moto more than once. It could have been a disaster. So I wish I had bothered to learn before I went. And I also wished that I had known what my insurance covered and made sure that I was covered. I had and still continue to have travel medical insurance. But I honestly don't know if it covered me when I was renting those motorbikes because the travel medical insurance that I had was through World Nomads and it was a la carte. You select what you want to be covered for and what you don't want to be covered for. I want to be covered for snorkeling, not scuba diving. I want to be covered for this, not that, And I don't know if I was covered for riding that motorbike every day, basically. When you're in a tourist area in Southeast Asia, you see a tourist who has had a motorcycle accident, right? Or a motorbike accident. You see broken arms, broken legs. You see people just walking around all one side of their body just all scraped up. This is a tourist who has gotten on a motorbike, maybe not really knowing how to ride a motorbike, and had an accident. So insurance, crucial, critical. I have a video on travel medical insurance on this channel. Of course, I'll link to that in the description of this video. But another fun fact, I guess, is that a broken arm going to the hospital and getting treatment for a broken arm in Thailand is ridiculously inexpensive. Paying for it in cash is no sweat. So I don't know. I guess that's the approach that a lot of people took. But some people do have serious injuries. I'm not minimizing the danger that is involved in riding a motorbike in a foreign country. But thing number 3 that I wish I had known before I took my sabbatical was how to ride a motorbike. Number 4 thing I wish I had known before I took my sabbatical is that dating apps are different everywhere, okay? So I was 41, I was out and about bopping around the world. I had Tindered in the US earlier, or not Tindered, I had used Plenty of Fish and something else in the US earlier. It took me a while to get on a dating app while I was out traveling. But once I did, I was like, oh, this is a little different. Every place you go, they have a different vibe. People are still people, men are still men, but people have a different vibe when you go places. So I learned, in Australia, they're really pen pally, right? They're just interested in collecting pen pals, it seemed like. In South Africa, they're really ready to propose marriage to you immediately. In Southeast Asia, lots of Germans. There are lots of Germans on dating apps who are passing through the place just like you are, and they may become a really good tour guide. I've done the Tinder tour, right? I've done it. I've had a man use me as a Tinder tour guide because I stayed in a town in Vietnam called Hoi An. I stayed in Hoi An for a full month. We connected on Tinder, and he knew that I had been there for a while, so I arranged our day. Right? We had a little day date. We rode our bikes to the beach and we went to a restaurant. When the date was over, I was like, man, I was a bomb tour guide. He is very smart, right? And then I started doing that in reverse, right? So I wish I had known sooner that dating apps are different everywhere and that you might have a decent experience on dating apps outside of the US, even if you don't have a good experience inside of the US. I guess a part 4B, that would be 4A. 4B is that dating is different in different places. So I date men. I'm not saying that men are better in other countries, but I'm saying as a dark-skinned black woman in a big body, it is much easier to date and much easier to be treated well by men in other countries than it has been recently in the United States. After about 30 or 35, I became totally invisible in the United States to men, and around the world, I'm exotic. So if you're interested in dating around the world, go ahead and do it. I'm not going to advise you not to date people just because you've had bad experiences in one place. Do it. See how you like it. Okay, so 4, dating, different everywhere, and dating apps are different everywhere. The 5th thing I wish I had known before I quit my job to travel is pack less. I put this in all caps, pack less. I don't know that there's anything anyone could have told me that would have convinced me to pack less because I knew I was leaving my house and I was going to be gone for a year. But I'm still going to try. I'm still going to try to convince you to pack less. Number 1, wherever you're going, you can buy most of the stuff that you'll need. There's very little stuff that you need to take for a full year while you're traveling, right? I traveled in Southeast Asia. I did need enough underwear to last me because people are very small in Southeast Asia, and I couldn't buy replacement underwear or replacement socks until I got to Australia. So that is the thing. If you're going to a country where you're in a much different body size than the people who live there, you might need underwear and socks, okay? Bigger or small. If you're bigger or a lot smaller than the people there, you might need underwear and socks. Other than that, everything that you need, you're going to be able to get there, most likely. So that's the best I can tell you about packing less. Like I said, there's not a whole lot I can tell you that's going to convince you to pack less. You just have to experience it for yourself. Once you go, though, you're going to get sick of carrying this stuff all the time and repacking, especially if you're bopping around at a pretty good pace. You're going to get tired of lifting and carrying things all the time. So don't pack anything heavy or bulky that you're not okay with just leaving, trashing, donating, throwing away, right? Because that's what's going to happen. Every bulky thing, every heavy thing, you're going to get sick of packing and repacking over and over and over again. If your sabbatical involves you moving from country to country or city to city, you're going to get sick of it. You're going to ditch it. So don't pack anything that you would be heartbroken about leaving, right? Not an expensive winter coat or whatever. For me, it was mostly, I had maxi dresses and maxi skirts because I started my sabbatical in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur, and I needed to be a little more covered. Even though it's a really hot place, you have to dress a little more covered up there. And man, once I got out of Malaysia and I went to Thailand for the next place, I was like, forget all of this stuff. I'm ditching every single one of these maxi skirts. When I look back at my pictures from my first few days in Malaysia, I'm like, man, in Penang, I'm like, what? I don't think I ever wore that again, right? I had a maxi skirt and a maxi dress. They just take up too much space, and it's not worth it. It's not worth it. So pack less, okay? So related to packing less and having to bop around is number 6, travel slower. The 6th thing I wish I'd known before I quit my job to travel is travel slower. This is not your last chance, okay? I took my year sabbatical to see the world because it was really easier for me to quit my job and travel for a year on savings than it was for me to get approved for vacation time from my job. I used to apply for request vacation days from my job, and they would approve me for 3 of 5, right? I request 5 days, they give me 3 days, and not even 3 consecutive days. And then it was my responsibility to go around and negotiate with my coworkers how I can get this time off. You work this day for me, I'll work this day for you. You do that, I'll take this day as a sick day, and it really was a hassle every single time to just use the vacation days that I earned. I don't recommend it. Hospitals don't treat you right? Hospitals do not treat you right. So instead, it was just easier for me to quit my job and see all the places that I'd wanted to see that was just impossible for me to see based on my vacation day situation. And so I treated it originally as though this is my last chance, right? My itinerary was just too much. Even though I had some built-in rest spots, right? So I told you in Koh Phangan, I think I stayed there for 2 or 3 weeks. After bopping a couple of quick days through Malaysia, I stayed in Koh Phangan for a while. I stayed for a while. I stayed for a full month in Chiang Mai, Thailand. I stayed for a full month in Hoi An, Vietnam. But other days, other places, I moved every 2 or 3 or 4 days. I'm in a different hostel in a different city. That's a lot of packing and repacking. It's a lot of lifting that suitcase and breaking your fingernails, which I just did recently. I broke off 3 or 4 fingernails just getting to this particular house sit, lifting my suitcases. It's a lot of travel days, which are stressful and are lost. A travel day is not a vacation day, right? So it's my advice to you that you just move slower. It's okay to take a sabbatical, go somewhere and sit down. Okay? Rest. Take it as a real sabbatical. You're going to be tired. You're going to start off tired because you've been working for how many years? Like, how many years has it been since you've had to not work? Okay? So that's how tired you're going to be. Okay? So prepare to just sleep a lot. It's okay to just go someplace beautiful and sleep. It's okay. There are many a city that I visited where I didn't see the thing in that city. Right? So I told you I went to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, but I didn't see the caves. There are 2 things that are like the thing in Malaysia, the caves and the tower, like the building. I saw the building. I didn't go to see the caves. I slept. Okay? So you're going to want to build in a lot of time to do nothing, a lot of time to rest, a lot of time to be free and say yes to some things that pop up at the last minute. Don't overbook your itinerary. Give yourself a lot of free time and a lot of free space. And travel slow. Travel as slow as possible. It's okay to go to one place. It's okay to spend a full year in one town. I promise you. You're going to enjoy it. You're going to like it. You're going to come back rested. And if you do come back to work, you're going to be recharged and renewed and energized instead of drained. You don't want to... Imagine compounding that regular vacation drain, right? Vacations are draining and tiring, and you come back and you have to rest before you can go back to work, right? Yeah, I always had to take an extra day off before I could go back to work, which is why I couldn't take long trips. I could only take vacations to places where I could fly for 4 or 5 days because I need 1 extra day to sleep, right? Now imagine compounding that by months or years. Give yourself the gift of rest. Give yourself the gift of having nothing to do. Absolutely nothing. Okay? Travel slower. All right, where are we? Number 7 thing I wish I'd known before I quit my job to travel for a year is give yourself a 15% cushion on the budget. Maybe a little more, but maybe a little less. I didn't have a whole lot of cushion. I knew that I could travel on $40 a day in Southeast Asia in 2015 as a person who didn't mind staying in dorm rooms and hostels, right? I knew I could do that. This was before house sitting. So I saved up $40 a day is $1,200 per month. So I saved up $14,400 and got on a plane and left. But then some things happened. I drowned my iPhone in the Philippines, in the most beautiful place. I'm talking about, I took a day tour in El Nido in the Philippines to the most beautiful place. If I can find a quick video of it, I'll put it in here, somebody else's video. It's not my video because I drowned my phone and my stuff was not going to the cloud or whatever. And I lost some beautiful pictures, but most importantly to this, I had to replace my phone. Spending $400 or $500 back then was a significant amount of money when my whole budget for the month was $1,200. I also bought an iPad or a laptop. I think I bought a laptop in Australia. That's right. I bought a MacBook in Australia because I had got a little tired of not having a laptop. I only had my phone and I had a little iPad that got on my nerves. So I bought a used laptop when I was in Australia. I left one of my work exchanges a little early. I did a video talking about work exchanges in exchange for a free room and board, which I did back then instead of house sitting, or because I didn't know yet about house sitting. And I left a work exchange a little early, and so some of that was money that I had to spend out of pocket. So I wish I had given myself a little 15% cushion. I think 15% would have been enough. I flew back home with $30-something in my bank account. I didn't have enough money to get myself from the airport home. My parents came and got me from the airport because I couldn't afford to get home any other way, right? I was literally in the hostel. My cousin Marcy had joined me for the tail end of my sabbatical. She had flown to Europe and met me in Paris. And I was sitting there like, Marcy, now either I have enough money to book this trip home, or I need to go tap into my 403B money and get some more money out to keep traveling. Marcy was like, well, sounds like you're not ready to go home yet, right? Marcy is the most responsible person I know. And she was like, keep traveling, keep traveling. But I decided to go back home with the little money I had to buy my ticket. So I bought my ticket and I called my parents and I was like, y'all got to come and get me because there's no other way I can make it back from the airport. A 15% cushion would have just helped me breathe a little easier and not stress out about like having to replace my phone. Now, I'm not saying that I was stressed out. The real solution was always going to be if I run out of money too early, I just go back home earlier and get a job earlier. So it wasn't like I was super stressed out about it. And I don't want you to be too stressed out about it either. But 15% cushion, I'd recommend that. Okay, so I think we're on the last thing that I wish I knew before I quit my job to travel. Yeah, number 8, I wish I had known that I was not going back to work the same way. I already knew before I quit my job and took that sabbatical that I was not going to slip back into the same life. I sold all my stuff. I got rid of everything. I moved out of my home, right? I got rid of all of it. I knew I wasn't going back to that. I thought I was going to make the change of moving to a city where I could live without a car. I thought that was going to be my big life change. After this sabbatical, after going around the world and seeing the world, I'm going to come back and I'm going to move to a city where you don't need a car, right? I'm going to move to a city with a good metro system. That was my big plan. It turns out I did not return to work life. So yes, I did get that job that hired me. I did two interviews, got 2 job offers, accepted one, started a job. On that 90-day meeting where you meet with the pharmacy manager and he says, Stephanie, you're now off probation. Good job. I said, thank you. Now here is my 2 weeks notice. Okay. I am not made to work a job like this. I don't want to ever again have a job that can tell me where to be and when to be there. Right? I need more freedom. For me, that included house sitting plus becoming a virtual assistant, which I no longer do, but that was my pathway to location and time freedom. House sitting plus virtual assistant work meant that I could be wherever I wanted to be in the world, whenever I wanted to be there. And I wish that I had known that was coming. I guess I kind of did. I had been listening to I'd listened to the 4 Hour Work Week before I quit my job. And I was listening to some podcasts, Pat Flynn and some other podcasters talking about the importance of location freedom and time freedom. So I guess there was a seed of it, but I had nothing above the ground, right? The seed was in the dirt. I had nothing above ground yet. No way yet to make any money. So I put this on the list of things I wish I knew, but I don't know. It also was really good to be on sabbatical and not work at all. I didn't do any work. The most work I did was I took some photos and tried to turn them into coloring book pages. They didn't work out really well for me. I used a couple of different programs or apps and tried to turn some photos from my travels into coloring book pages. And I put them on Etsy years ago. That was back in 2015, 2016. That's the most work I did, and it was really, really good to not do any work. Just rest in and relax into, here's the amount of money I have to live on, and I'm just going to live. And maybe if I had already known that I was going to want to keep traveling, maybe I would have worked towards, sorry, the dog's barking, but we're almost done. Maybe, hold on, I'm going to take you out in just a second. Maybe I would have spent part of my sabbatical instead working on making money. And I'm glad I didn't do that. I'm glad that I got to focus on just, nothing. Doing nothing. Seeing the world, taking selfies, perfecting the sunset silhouette selfie, and that's it. But I put that on my list, so we'll keep it there. I like the number 8, so we'll keep it there, okay? So those are the 8 things I wish I knew before I quit my job to travel. I told you I was going to give you a resource. I'm actually going to give you 2 different resources. First, I want to link you to my new house sitter toolkit. If the idea of getting free accommodation in exchange for taking care of people's homes and pets while they're away is appealing to you, as it should be if you're a friend to animals, like seriously, I recommend it. Get my new house sitter toolkit. The link to my new house sitter toolkit is in the description of this video. It's housesit.vicarious.com/toolkit. I know it's a long link, housesit.vicarious.com/toolkit. It's got the link to Trusted House Sitters, which is the website where I book my house sits through. It's got my actual letter that I use to pitch house sitting clients, the pitch email that gets you booked, right? If you've heard anybody say, I'm on Trusted House Sitters and I'm not getting booked, it's because they're not using my letter. My letter is amazing. And that is in my new house sitter toolkit, housesit.vicarious.com/toolkit. Again, those are linked in the description of this video. The second thing I want to make sure that you know about is my book, which is called Job Detox, a workbook for Black women to stop striving and get free. It's not, you don't know about it yet because it's not out in the world yet, but it's coming soon. So make sure that you're on the wait list for Job Detox. The link to that is vicarious.com/job detox. If you sign up for my wait list, you won't miss out when the book is out in the world. I'll tell you, okay, when the book is out in the world. If you're at a place in your life where you want to no longer center work, if you're at a place in your life where you want to be the boss of you and not a job, you don't want a job dictating where you can be, who you should be, how you should be, right? If you don't want a job to be the center of your life, just a sliver, just a slice of your life and not the whole pie, then you do need a job detox. We as Black women have been taught that the job is supposed to be the most important thing in our lives, the most important part of us. If you're starting to feel like you don't know yourself away from your job, you don't know who you are, if you're only introducing yourself by the work that you do, then Job Detox is coming soon, okay? Go to vicarious.com/job detox. Get on the wait list for my book. It's been 7, almost 8 years now since I've had a job be the boss of me, right? Since I've had a job that had any say in my life. And it feels really good over here. It feels really good over here. Join me. If you've taken a sabbatical of your own and you have another thing that you want to add to this list of 8, go ahead and drop it in the comments. If you have not taken a sabbatical of your own yet and you have a sabbatical question, drop that in the comments too, please. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit the like button before you go. It really does give YouTube a signal that you think other black women would like this video, and then it will go ahead and put it in front of other black women. So hit the like button, please, before you go, and share the video with a black woman who you know could use a sabbatical or is already in process of planning hers. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.